Oh yeah, welcome everyone. Thank you for being there. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Rabbi Anibal here, streaming live from the Aper Campus, and we welcome our in-person students, Jerome, Shelly, Rocky. How do you like your name with us? R. Roll.
Getting used to it.
If you go to Mexico, that's what you get, right? It's a Señor Rocky. Yeah, that's what you get in Mexico. No, if you go, for example, to Punta Cana, they don't roll the R's. They can't. They pronounce an L sound instead.
Oh, yeah. You're
Lucky, yeah. There was this guy, I remember when we went to Punta Cana, and everybody's goofy there, the employees. There were lots of Russians as guests. So, because of all the Russians, they said, hey, Paruski, right? But they couldn't pronounce it, so they said Paluski. Hey, Paluski. And I say, what is Paluski? I couldn't, and then it took me a while to put the two together. So anyway, so welcome to Brendan David Grossman. We have Priscilla Kerr, Holly Mandelkern. Welcome. Welcome to the class. So we are going to study today, even though it might be a little late. It might be a little late for some of you. Have you been counting the Omer? Have you been counting the Omer? Occasionally. That's the wrong answer. Because the Omer has to be counted every single night, from Pesach to Shavuot.
We just passed number 9.
I know, but what happened is,
I get it.
because of the way Pesach played out this year, we didn't have a class on Chol HaMoed Pesach,
No, we didn't.
so I didn't have a chance to teach about the Omer earlier. Okay, so this is something that I hope if you haven't been counting the Omer, you can still start now. The only restriction I will tell you right away out of the bat is that you do it without a blessing. Okay? I would say is the only mitzvah that it's not, every day is not an independent day. They're all linked together. So if you miss one day, then you cannot continue counting with blessings. Because let's say that you have
Say that again?
if you miss one day, you didn't count,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Then the next evening you have to count without a blessing all the way to the end,
Cool.
or not.
Or not.
Cool or not. So, but let's say, for example, that you celebrate Sukkot. You have to say Leishev Vasukah every day.
That's right.
And let's say that you forget one day to say Leishev Vasukah. But then it doesn't matter, because the day after you keep saying it, because every day is an independent mitzvah. But counting of the Omer, because of the way it's presented in the Torah, is a continuation. Okay, so if you miss one and you interrupted the chain, you still have to count, but you cannot say the blessing. So
I forgot that.
the tricks,
I think I knew that, but
the
forgot it.
tricks that we have, or the tools that we have in these days to make our life easier. Number one is get an app for your phone,
I've had it since it first came out.
and it notifies you when it's
Yeah, it
time
does.
the problem is that
And now it even goes through and says today is number blah blah blah.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
Count me yet.
so number one is that. Number two, and the most effective, and the one that it was the most popular way in the Jewish world, and listen to this, is to join a minyan for the counting of the Omer.
Yeah.
That is the best, foolproof way to avoid forgetting. And we don't see that anymore, but if you talk to other synagogues, especially more traditional synagogues, they will say that they have a bump in attendance
Yes.
during the Omer
Yeah.
from all the people that they don't want to miss it. The other ways that I recommend is print a chart. You can download
Yes, yeah.
charts. We have one at Temple Shalom, so the davener can check the box
it off.
and put it on the night table.
Yeah. We used to do that in the chapel.
It's the same one.
Once upon a time.
It's the same one. We still print it and we put it there for the daveners. But if you want, you take one at home, you put it on the night table, so you will remember to count just before you shut the light at night.
Before you take your glasses off and take your pills, count your Omer.
Before you take the pill. We forgot that it's a Jewish practice, right?
Put on the eye drops.
Oh, well, yes, of course. Yes, I'm into apps these days.
Jewish people, always something, always a pill, right? It's like, do you know the comedian?
We have a pill for that.
You know the comedian Modi?
Yes, yeah.
It's very funny, and he was saying that the COVID questionnaires are anti-Semitic. I said,
Why?
because he said, you name one Jew that doesn't wake up every day with at least 4 COVID symptoms. The guy is funny. The guy is funny.
See you, Rabbi?
Hello, Rabbi. Smile, you're on camera.
Who am I talking to and why?
My audience, this is Torah L'chaim.
To the world?
Torah
Okay,
L'chaim.
okay.
Talking to the world.
Okay.
This is Torah L'chaim here. Okay.
Yes, Rabbi Finkel here, everyone. So, yeah. Oh, welcome, Amparo. Welcome to the class. She's there. Okay, so let's study a little bit about the Omer, and hopefully we'll have time to study a little bit about Acharei Mot, also the parsha for this week,
Taking this away from in front of me.
which is
Jerome wants it.
Acharei Mot. It's a very interesting thing what Rashi says about it, but let's see if we can do it. Okay, let me bring the class here. I want this. There. So, let's start by studying why we count the Omer. Okay, why do we count the Omer? Is the mitzvah of the Omer from the Torah or from the rabbis? And the answer is from the Torah. How we do it is from the rabbis, but the mitzvah itself of counting from Pesach to Shavuot is from the Torah. Okay. In fact, without counting the days and the weeks, the festival of Shavuot, festival of the weeks, wouldn't make any sense. Right? If you call the festival of the weeks, it means that we are celebrating the completion of counting weeks. And that's what we do with the counting of the Omer. That's what you will see, we count days and weeks. Okay. Leviticus chapter 23, verses 9 to 11. Okay? You know it? Okay. God spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when you come to the land that I'm giving you and you reap the harvest, okay, you shall bring the Omer of the first of your harvest to the Kohen, to the priest. He shall wave the Omer before God to be an appeasement for you on the day following the Shabbat. Then the Kohen shall wave it." Okay? So, listen to this, because this is very interesting. Number one, what the heck is that? I think your volume is on. Thank you. That was a will loop. What is an Omer? But nobody asked. I've been reading the word Omer, and nobody said, "Hey, what is?"
It's a sheaf of, but
No.
I've forgotten what it is.
But the Omer, we don't really know what it is, how much it is an Omer. It's an amount of cereal.
I'm about to say sheaf of barley or wheat.
From the first cut.
From the first cut of barley.
Oh, it's barley. Okay.
Wheat is not ready yet. It's too early in the season.
It's true.
And you will see on the fields.
It's true.
It's too early in the season for that, okay? So that's why I didn't translate it. And that's why we keep talking about the Omer without really explaining what it is. Okay? They are different.
So you could just say grain generically?
No, but it used to be the Omer. No, but the amount of grain. So Omer used to be like a pound, right, or a kilo, but we don't know exactly how much it was. And some people believe that Omer was an amount that equals what one person will eat, right?
In a day.
Yeah, or some
whatever.
people believe that Omer used to be a synonym of handful. So basically, this is an Omer. You have a container full of grain,
And whatever
and you do
could-
this. Some people say that's what the Omer is. Why do we say that? Because if you read here, it said you take the Omer, you take it to the Kohen, and he should wave it before the Lord. So you take it and you go. Sorry?
Offering? Is it an offering?
Well, an appeasement also, yeah. It used to be understood that what you do is you offer to God the very first bit of the
Choice
crops.
is the best.
So God will bless you with good crops all the way to the end. So you give to God the first bit, right, as a token, and then the rest is going to be blessed,
So it's
which makes sense. Hi. Hello, hello.
so it's another first fruits, except it's grain.
It's grain, but but that's again specifically has to be the barley because that was the first thing.
Okay.
Okay. Now, when do we start counting the Omer?
Yeah, Shabbos after.
You start on the second Seder. So basically, after
On the
Passover.
second Seder or
Yeah.
the day after the second
No,
Seder?
so but the day after starts with it. Basically,
I always thought it was the day after.
it has to be the day after Passover.
Because it's really only
But you will say, whoa, hold on a minute. Passover is a week long. No, it's not. Passover is one night.
That's right, Hagamatzot.
The rest is Hagamatzot. That's why we get confused if we don't use proper names. Okay? Passover was the Korban Pesach eaten on the Seder. Okay? We, losers in the diaspora, have two Seders. But people in Israel, they will have only one, right? They don't need two Seders. So we have to do that. So basically, we do it as part of the second Seder. In Israel, will be done as part of Minyan, the second night, okay? Because it's basically, halachically, the day after Passover,
Right.
because it starts at night, right? So that's what starts the day after Passover. But the Torah doesn't say the day after Passover. It says the day following the Shabbat. It does say this in the context of Pesach. Okay? If you go read the Torah before and after it's talking about Pesach, so the rabbis understand Shabbat as another way of talking about Pesach, because Pesach is also a day of rest. Sorry?
It's like Shabbat.
Yeah. So it's the day after Shabbat. The rabbi said it's obvious that it's talking about the day after Pesach, the day after the day of rest of the Chag, of the festival.
So it becomes a day of rest.
Yeah, but then we have, I always
Not
mention
to be confused with the other day of rest.
there were groups of Jews that they wanted to understand the day after the Shabbat, that you have to start counting the day after the first Shabbat, the day after the Shabbat that comes after Pesach, after the first Seder. Okay? And that's the way the Karaites do it.
Right.
So the problem with that is you never know in advance when it's going to be Shavuot. You know it's going to be on a Sunday, right? Because it's a cycle of 49. And if you start the day after Shabbat, which is a Sunday, you're going to finish on a Sunday. So they do know right away that Shavuot is always going to be on a Sunday for the Karaites. For us, the rabbis, I will say conveniently decided to read Shabbat as Pesach, so you can always put a fixed date to Shavuot. Why? Because the rabbis were early adopters of mathematical, or they call it arithmetical calendars, while other sects within Judaism, they did not. They still wanted to continue basing the
Counting
calendar,
stars and
counting the new moon. Okay? So when you have a fixed calendar, the way the rabbis always dreamed with, it's better if you have a fixed date. And not to say it's going to be on a Sunday, but Sunday when? Okay? Although it will be more convenient for us to have Shavuot always on a Sunday. Kids don't go to school. We'll have way more people coming to shul. Anyway. But anyway, that's the way it works. So we believe that Shabbat there means Pesach, so we start counting the Omer, second Seder, okay? It's in the Haggadah.
It is.
Right before Had Gadya. It's there. Many people skip it because they don't know what it is. Okay? But that's what it is. So why do we call it the counting of the Omer?
Say that again? Why?
Because we're told to count.
But why of the Omer? Why don't you call it the counting to Shavuot?
Why the Omer? Yeah. Well, the Omer is what you give to the priest. So
But it's only one day. You don't do it every day. So long
So
story.
is it because the Omer was that one day, but we still count until we get to the 49th, so we just continue to use that name?
It's because it's the first visible mitzvah attached to the counting.
Okay.
So basically, the long name will be the counting that you start after the Omer. Okay, so we just say counting of the Omer, but the Omer you present it only once at the beginning. You don't have to bring an Omer as an offering every day of the counting.
So that's why we say this is day whatever of the counting of the Omer.
Yes.
As though we were, because we're counting from the first one. Okay,
So
got it.
because we are counting from the time that the Omer was presented.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, that's why it's the counting that started with the Omer.
yeah.
That's why we call it that way. And that's what I said, that the mitzvah is from the Torah, but the details are rabbinical.
The bracha is all Sfirat HaOmer.
Yeah, because the counting starts with the Omer.
So the abbreviation is in the bracha.
No, but that's the way it became known, counting of the Omer, Sefirat HaOmer. But it started with the Omer. Anyway. I know, Rocky.
The judge has taken something at face value?
If we were in charge, we'll do things differently, right? Okay, next. Who else is here? Brachaya, welcome from the UK. Look, we have like a UK weather today. It's raining outside.
It's a lot greener there right now.
It's a lot gray. I'm gonna fall asleep. You know, every time that it gets cloudy and it rains, I get sleepy. But it has to do with the
circadian
pressure.
rhythm.
No, the pressure.
Oh, really?
The environmental pressure is different,
It's
and it
true.
makes me sleepy.
Very true.
Yeah. So the period of the Omer derives its name from a special sacrificial offering that was brought in the temple. Okay. Before any newly grown grains, wheat, barley, oats, rye, and spelt may be eaten, the equivalent of one day's worth of barley flour for one person must be offered in the temple on the second day of Pesach. This offering of barley flour is known as the Omer offering. Okay, again, in this interpretation, it's the measure of flour that one person will eat in one day. But that's one interpretation of the meaning of Omer. Okay, let's continue. Now, why we do that? And I will present just one rabbi's opinion, but you will see that how easy it is to agree with him. Rabbi Ezekiah ben Manoach, also known as Hizkuni, famous rabbi from France, he said, "It will not be appropriate to eat from the new harvest without bringing a portion of it as a gift of thanks to God,
Makes sense.
right?
Yeah.
So it's just the way we do things. Gratitude should be a value in everything we do. So we're starting the harvest. Hopefully it's going to be great. We're going to have food for us, for our family, and even to sell to somebody else to make a profit, right? So it is proper to share that with God as well. And the way it used to be done in the past is you bring it to the temple, usually it will be burned.
Yes.
You know, the thing that people used to believe that when you burn thing,
It goes
the
up
smoke
into the smoke
goes
into
up,
heaven.
right? So God will, that's a way for God to enjoy it. If I were God, it would make me more hungry, right? But
That's another.
so, Berchaya from the UK, she said, hopefully no thunderbolts like we had last night. Well, to be honest with you, Berchaya, if we had, I had no clue because I slept like a baby. I was so tired. My son and I, Renan, we went to a professional wrestling match. And it finished really late. It finished after 10. So then we
Which
still
for
have
you
to
is
come
really
home.
late.
And it was way past our bedtime. Way past our bedtime. So, and even more than thunderstorms, what keeps me up at night, you're gonna laugh, ducks.
Oh, the geese.
No, ducks.
Oh, that's right. You've got ducks in your pool. The ducks like your
I have
pool.
ducks in my pool. So it will be 3 in the morning, and you went,
Well, it's a pool of water. Well, now it's will be
Well,
anywhere there's a pool of water.
when I turn on the heater eventually, and it becomes over-chlorinated, they don't come anymore. They don't like that. But right now that it's cold,
It's perfect.
they do.
You're gonna have ducks
Okay.
floating around your backyard
Next.
soon.
Next. So let's keep talking about this. Rabbi Yanai said, okay, the way of the world is that when a person buys some meat from the market, he must expend much effort and hard work until he cooks it, right?
That's right. So
The fact that you have the meat doesn't mean that you can eat it right away.
That's right. The whole
Yet,
wholesale business.
Yet, while people are sleeping, God makes the wind blow and brings the clouds, which cause the plants to grow and nourish the fruits, and we only pay him the value of an Omer. So they say,
I like that.
I said, do you realize the bargain that you got here?
It is. Rain only at night, not during the day.
No, but it said, for
No, I
for,
get it.
for the miracle of God managing nature, right? So you can have the crops, just a little bit of grain, and that's all that God needs. It's a great bargain.
That's a lot of grain because everybody's bringing grain.
Well, but
Everybody's
it's-
bringing an Omer.
So this is the meaning of the verse.
You're right.
This is the meaning of the verse. You should bring an Omer of the first of your harvest to the Kohen. Okay? Of the first. And the first usually is not even the best. But
Not
you can
always.
you can bring that, right? Usually the longer you live a little bit, especially with fruits and things. But no, God wants just the first. We do the same with the challah.
Yes.
In fact, that's what challah is. Right?
You
What
take-
challah is the bread
you
that
take
is the
challah.
piece that you take from the dough and you burn it. That's why you said the mitzvah that is a mitzvah of taking challah. Okay?
And in fact, in Israel, or places where you have large observant Jewish populations, and you go to buy a challah, you know, it'll have a little sticker on it.
Challah has been taken.
And it'll say challah has been taken.
Yeah.
Anything to do with social action, making sure there's some set aside for the poor?
No. No. That is more. That
That's the
topic is
corner
going
of the
to.
field.
Yeah, when we talk about
That's the
gleanings on the
corner
corner of the field and forgotten sheaves, right? There were three things. Corner of the field that by law you couldn't harvest, although it doesn't say exactly how much from the corners. That's why the Talmud said this is one of the mitzvot that they have no limits. The more you leave for the poor in the corner, the better, because it's not really tzedakah in the sense that you don't handle the things. They have to go and harvest themselves, okay? So it's more, yeah, it's more
It gives them an active part.
it dignifies the
Harvesting
person
it,
more.
collecting it.
The other one is
They're not begging.
the other one is the gleaning, I think it's called. Gleaning is, let's say that you are a farmer.
Oh,
You
the
put together
gleaning,
the
so when you're
sheaves,
sheaving
right?
it, so-
When you are moving the sheaves, things are falling.
All right.
You cannot stop and put it back. So that it will be different, because you will have a bunch of poor people walking behind the carts and getting everything that's falling. And the other thing is, and this is easy to see here in Manitoba, when you drive to the beach, for example, you will see the big sheaves,
Yes.
right? And how they're doing sections at a time. So you do a section, you move everything, but then you realize that there were two sheaves that you forgot them there. You can't go back to get
You
them.
don't, and people still don't do that. They still follow that.
So then
without
you leave
even
it-
knowing what why
So
they're
you leave
doing
it behind, and the poor people have the right to go and take it if they find one of those. Okay? So that's what they are. Those are the mitzvah that deal with social justice when we are talking about farming. Now, the interesting thing is, those three mitzvot that we just mentioned, when somebody wants to convert to Judaism, according to the Talmud, that has to be the warning that the rabbis give to the potential convert. Do you know that now, if you convert, you will have to leave the corners of the field for the poor. You will have to allow them to take everything that falls from your cart. If you forgot a sheaf, you can't go back to get it. Do you still want to become a Jew? And then it says, if he says yes, you circumcise him right away, and then you take him to the mikvah.
So,
No second chances, second thought.
Yeah,
so the Omer is wasted.
it's wasted. Yes. Okay. Next. Now, the Sefer HaChinuch, the book that counts mitzvahs, right? I mean, again, I always said, you can go to ArtScroll and buy the entire book. It's amazing. Sefer HaChinuch is the 613 mitzvot catalog. Just catalog, with a little explanation of each one of them. To me, it's one of the most amazing books ever published. Right?
And just
We always-
holding an art scroll book is another.
Yeah, but
exciting
we
thing.
always talk
It's so
about
beautifully done.
we always talk about Jews have 613 mitzvot. Do you know them? Well, no. I take your word for it, but do you know them? Where can I find the 613 mitzvot all in one collection? Get the Sefer Mitzvot. There are two, Sefer Mitzvot, Sefer HaChinuch. They're similar. And they catalog the 613 commandments. So when we are talking about counting of the Omer, it's the mitzvah 306. It's like ordering Chinese. 306, they bring you the Omer.
Number 47. So what's the difference between the two? Is one Panas and another is Sephardi, or one is one rabbi and why the difference between the two?
The two what?
Why are there two books? What's the difference between the fundamental difference?
Oh,
between
the different
two books?
authors.
That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
Because the Talmud mentions that we have 613 commandments without mentioning which ones. So we know the number.
Okay.
And then different rabbis will find a slightly different list.
Okay.
Okay. So,
Boys, go down the hallway to the end to the right.
sir, yes, sir. Okay. Why we count the Omer? That's the other question.
It's a mitzvah.
But why? I know.
It's leading us.
We never ask why,
it's
right?
taking us to on
You
another
thi-
path to another.
I know. If you say because the Torah said so, right? Point for Rocky. Yes.
Because it's always a good answer,
It's always a good answer.
except when you're talking to your parents.
the low-hanging fruit.
So listen to this. Sefer HaChinuch try to explain why. Because that's one of the things of Sefer HaChinuch is not only presenting the mitzvot, but try to explain why. Okay? Which is, if you ask me, it sounds like a good idea. Try to explain why we do what we do. So, the simple explanation is that the essence of the Jewish people is the Torah. Do we agree? And because of the Torah, the heavens, the earth, and Israel were created, as the verse states, if not for my covenant of Torah, day and night I will not have appointed the laws of heaven and earth. Okay, that's Jeremiah. Torah is the foundation and the reason that we were redeemed and left Egypt in order to receive the Torah at Sinai and to keep it. Okay? Since the acceptance of Torah was the goal of our redemption and served as a foundation of the Jewish people, and through it we achieve our greatness, we were commanded to count from the day after the first day of Pesach until the day that the Torah was given. So when was the Torah given? Shavuot. Even though the Torah never says that.
No, it doesn't say this is my birthday. Today is my birthday.
No, we'll talk about that in a minute. This manifests our great desire for that awesome day, which our hearts yearn for, just as a servant yearns for shade. We count constantly when will the day come that we yearn for, the day that we left slavery, because counting towards a certain date shows a person that all his desire and longing is to reach that time. Okay? We count. This basically said we are humans. We count for everything, right? We count for retirement. We have friends that they actually used to have a magneto, like a
So many more days until
until retirement. It was a countdown. Okay, in years, days, hours, minutes, and seconds. We count for birthdays.
we do.
We count for holidays,
Birthdays, weddings.
right? How long until next trip? And stuff like that.
We do.
We do.
How long after a pill I can have a drink?
Yeah. Okay. But the thing here is that so we count until the Torah, because the Torah is so important for us that we count every day in expectation. Now, the problem with this philosophy, if I may, is that when we count towards the day, right? Yes, we count, but the days in between are like irrelevant. The day is not special by itself, right? We count it, but the day doesn't have a meaning.
It's just another day.
In the counting of the Omer, yes, we count in expectation for the Torah, but at the same time, every day counts and has a meaning. Every day is special by itself. Okay, so that will be a little bit of a difference. The concept of counting because something is important, just for you to remember.
Are there any other instances in our practices of observance where there's a similar counting of special days?
That we count towards something?
Shiva?
Yeah,
I don't think
yeah, but we don't do it with we don't count with blessings or
we
anything.
don't count with blessings.
With
Yeah, but we still
We
count.
don't count our way to something else.
Yeah, no, not like that. Now, so we cannot talk about counting of the Omer without talking about Shavuot, because you have Pesach in one end, Shavuot in the other, and then all the dots in between. Okay, it's like a one big dot, another big dot, and 49 little dots in between. It's like a bridge, right? I almost imagine that it's like a log bridge. But you look at it from the side,
Yes.
and what you see is all the little dots, but it's a bridge. It's connecting one to the other, and you have to go step by step,
Yeah.
right? like that. So Rambam, the Maimonides, he will say in his Guide for the Perplexed, Shavuot is the time of the giving of the Torah. In order to honor and elevate this day, we count the days from the previous festival until it arrives, like someone who is waiting for a loved one to arrive, who counts the day by the hours. This is the reason for counting the Omer from the day that we left Egypt until the day of the giving of the Torah, as this was the ultimate purpose of leaving Egypt, and I will bring them to me. So what we have to understand from here is that counting of the Omer all of a sudden became a preparation time. Right? And when I say that when we count days, the days in between have no meaning, yes and no. I've seen some cases where the days in between do have meaning. If you work in a company, okay, and you have a deadline, chances are, if you know what you're doing, that you will have like a chart with all the days you have until completion,
That's true.
and you will write on every day what you're supposed to do every day
Day 3, day 10.
to
day-
guarantee that you will be ready at the end, and then you will know right away, for example, if you are ahead of schedule or behind the schedule,
That's true.
right? Because you will say day 15, and it says there, you know, sample should go to production, and you don't have the sample. So you are already one day below schedule.
Is there any evidence, though, that the Israelites coming out of Egypt knew they were working toward Mount Sinai, the Torah?
So the thing is there any evidence that the Torah was revealed on Shavuot?
Now, is there any evidence that there was an expectation
Oh yeah.
between now and Shavuot?
No, because that's what Moshe was keep telling.
Moses told them.
He keep telling Pharaoh all the time, right? Let my people go so they will go serve God in the mountain. Okay? So they knew that they were leaving Egypt to go to the mountain, to Mount Sinai. And then I guess Moses told him exactly what was going to happen then. But then a better question is there any evidence that the Torah was revealed on Shavuot? Because the Torah doesn't mention
There's
that.
no archaeological evidence.
No, forget about that. I know it is. Forget about that. I mean, if we are going to try to read this as, you know, analyzing every fact, you can't.
You can't make it literal.
How much time was there between the golden calf and finally tempted?
What this is basically how much time was in between the Exodus and the Revelation. The Revelation was before Golden Calf. So what happened is God revealed the Torah orally. Remember, the Torah says that there were the thunders, right? And it was so intense that they were able to see they saw the voice of God. What do you mean they saw? It was so intense that the senses got confused. Okay?
Yep.
After that finished, God said to Moses, now come to the mountain. And that after those 40 days when they did the golden calf. Okay? But is there any, when that happened, that God said all the commandments and the revelation, the Torah doesn't provide with a date. But based on other date provided by the Torah and calculating how long it will take of a group of 600 people, 1 million people going from Egypt to Sinai and to encamped, and this is not so off.
The first group might have been there 40 days, but the tail end of the group could have been 40 plus.
So basically, it's not one of the things that is too crazy and stretched. I said, never happened. Well, this one, I cannot prove it exactly that happened, but it's the
But you
timeline
can't
is
prove that it didn't.
the timeline is, it can't be too off from the date of Shavuot for the revelation, considering what happened in between. So this is not a crazy one. This is not a crazy one.
Did they ever adjust calendar dates or set dates or Yom Tov dates once they decided this is going to be the day that
But
blah, blah is
God
gonna
said it.
happen?
Basically, the first commandment after everything else, when they were still in Egypt, God said to Moses, Nisan is going to be the first month for you. Implied on that is you need a calendar. How can you calculate that this is going to be the first month if you don't have a calendar?
Okay, so
That
we
was
have
the
a
first
beginning.
mitzvah.
We have a beginning.
That was the first mitzvah, the calendar. So, let's continue. The Omer on Pesach was, oh, I love this one. Listen to this. The Omer on Pesach was from barley harvest.
Yep.
The offering on Shavuot was from wheat. Barley is mainly food for animals. That's why I never had the barley soup here. Wheat is food for human beings. Right? Wheat bread. The Torah hints us that physical independence by itself still leaves man, from the Torah perspective, on the animal level. So when we left Egypt, spiritually, we're still animals. So what do we offer? Barley. The counting of the 49 days signifies a sevenfold, so it's 7 times 7, right? Refining process, and marks our progress to full human status with our acceptance of the Torah at Sinai 7 weeks after the Exodus. That's what we call a Shavuot. So this is very important because, again, it comes to prove that every day between Pesach and Shavuot is a preparation day. So there is something that we have to achieve every day in order to be fully prepared to receive the Torah. Yeah, and that's why when we count the Omer, we also study Pirkei Avot every day. I think I did it last year, that we did Pirkei Avot every week between Pesach and Shavuot. But that's why.
It was the first time we did Pirkei Avot since Rabbi Green did Pirkei Avot.
Well, but I did it that way
Yeah.
because that's what we
That
studied.
was a weekly class, which took, if I remember correctly, a little over 2.5 years.
But that what happened. We studied Pirkei Avot because it's the best tool we have to learn ethics,
Absolutely.
right? See Sam Bailey, welcome from SoCal. Yeah, Southern California. So let's continue. If a person, for you, Shelley, listen to this. If a person forgot and did not count at night, okay, he might count during the day without reciting a blessing, but then you go back to count with blessings after. So let's say that God forbid, I forget tonight.
Where did the get out of jail card come from?
No, it's like this. Let's say that I forget to count with a blessing tonight. Okay?
Yes.
I can count during the day without a blessing.
Yes, you can.
Okay?
Yeah.
But the interesting thing is, I'm still counting for the day. So I can go back and use the blessing the next night. If you forgot a full day of count,
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
then you can never go back to the blessing until next year.
So as long as you're in that sort of liminal space between.
Okay. Let's wrap up this. Listen. It says, if he forgot to count on any of the days, whether the first day or any of the other days, he should continue counting of all subsequent days without reciting a blessing. However, if he is uncertain whether he skipped a day, he should count the rest of the day with a blessing.
Gotta be honest with God.
I don't know who could be uncertain if they counted or not. I don't know. It's not something that we do every day, right? So, well, it does happen sometimes. The rabbis deal with these uncertainties during prayers all the time. For example, you know that if you're doing the Amida, right? Sometimes we say Mashiva Ruach Morida Gashem. Sometimes you say Morida Tal.
Yes.
You go halfway into the Amida, and then you say, did I say Moshiva Ruach Morida Gashem, or did I say Morida Tal today? They give you the benefit of the doubt, right? But only depends. But only depends how far you are from the time that there is the switch happened, right?
Yeah.
And then the rabbi says, if it's within the week after so you have to presuppose that you made a mistake, and you have to go back to the beginning and start again the Amida.
And if it's in the middle of the season, forget
Yeah,
it.
so the benefit goes to you.
Yeah.
So this is the same thing, right? Because we don't do it all the time. Maybe you forgot one, but they will say, okay, you keep counting with blessings. Next. Now, the other thing that is important and we have to learn about the counting of the Omer is the 33rd day of the Omer, Lag BaOmer, which is a milestone during the counting. Okay, the 33rd day is a milestone, and lots of things happen there. It's a day of celebration. Why is that? Listen to this. Rabbi Akiva says, if you have learned Torah in your youth, you must continue to learn Torah in your old age. If you have had students in your youth, you must continue to have students in your old age. As the verse says, in the morning plant your seeds, and in the evening do not let your hand rest. They said that Rabbi Akiva had 12,000 pairs of students. 12,000 pairs. So how many students? 24,000. Because back in the day, you will never have one student. So it's always a chavruta. So the numbers always came on pairs. Okay, so he had 12,000 pairs of students from Givat to Antiprat, and they all died during the period of time because they did not treat each other with respect. The world was desolate until Rabbi Akiva came to the rabbis of the south and taught them. Okay? Who were these new rabbis? They were Rabbi Meir, Rabbi Yehuda, Rabbi Yossi, Rabbi Shimon, Rabbi Eliezer ben Shamua. It was they who re-established the Torah at the time. So basically it was them who revitalized Rabbinic Judaism. It was taught that 24,000 students all died between Pesach and Shavuot. Okay? When between Pesach and Shavuot? Can you give me a date? Because we are talking about a 50-day range, right? Can you narrow it down? Well, the rabbi said yes. Said yes. Rabbi Chama bar Abba, or perhaps it was Rabbi Hia bar Avin, said that they all died a terrible death. What type of death does this refer to? Rabbi Nachman said askara, death by choking. Now, because they died during Pesach and Shavuot, the rabbi said that there was a semi-mourning period. We mourn for the death of the students of Rabbi Akiva. Okay?
So no shaving, etc., etc.
Right,
I remember.
Or no music and no parties. Okay? And that is in the Talmud. And especially because you have to understand that the students of Rabbi Akiva, they died because they treated themselves with disrespect. During Pesach and Shavuot, it's all the opposite what we should be learning. So the understanding is they got this harsh punishment because they were considered to be as a higher standard. So they were punished differently.
They were supposed to know better.
So, but listen to this.
Horrible death.
It says, Rabbi Akiva said to his new students, my sons, the first one only died because they did not look generously towards one another. Pay attention that you don't act like them. But then the rabbi said that basically all the students of Rabbi Akiva stopped dying. Which day? 33rd day of the Omer. So that is the day where the mourning gets lifted. when they stop
is that
dying.
where we get our rules?
We know this how?
Rabbinic tradition. This is way after the Torah, so it was documented by contemporaries.
So
Rabbi
is that
Akiva.
where that we get our rule of shloshim, the
No.
number of days? No.
No.
That was too
This
easy.
was
That was too easy a question.
yeah. So
Shloshim strikes.
so basically Shulchan Aruch will say it is customary not to get married between Pesach and Shavuot because the student of Rabbi Akiva died during that time period, but it's permissible to get engaged. So Tanaim you can do, Chatuna you cannot. It is customary not to shave or take a haircut until Lag BaOmer. Lag means 33 in Hebrew, Lamed Gimel, 33. Until Lag BaOmer, when they say that the students stop dying. Okay, even the Shulchan Aruch, that they say. Okay, they said, hey, so many centuries after, who am I to argue that, right? If that was the belief, that they stopped dying on Lag BaOmer, we believe it as well. Now, yeah, so, well, 1256. I won't continue with another topic. But what I wanted to say about this is that the other reason of Lag BaOmer being a celebration is because it's the yard site of who? Bar Yochai, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. Who was Rabbi Shimon? Why Rabbi Shimon is so important? Because according to rabbinic tradition, he wrote the Zohar. The Zohar, the most important book of Kabbalah. Okay? And what is funny about the Zohar is that the Zohar supposedly was lost for centuries until a man called Moses de Leon in Spain found it. Okay? Most scholars argue that Moses de Leon penned the book, the Zohar. And I said, why will he say that it was from Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai if he wrote it? If you write a book, will you say that I wrote it? If you wrote it? Doesn't make any sense, right? Why
would
will
you claim ownership of something that you didn't?
why would Moses de Leon say that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote it? Because Moses de Leon,
Well, one of two reasons. One, because it really was true, or two, because he didn't want to. He wanted to give honor to, rather than, or he knew it was going to be controversial and he didn't want it falling on his head.
Maybe he wanted to disassociate himself from it.
actually, what happened is he realized that if he would put his name to the book, nobody will read it. Nobody will buy it. Right? If I say that I don't know, that I found a book written by somebody who died centuries ago, right? Which it won't come back to collect royalties or anything. But it was a famous person, and I can actually get away with making you believe that
It's great
somebody else
stuff,
wrote
and
it.
you should read this.
Everybody will want to read it.
I thought that he.
So Moses de Leon, he said that, hey, I'm the one who found it. I found the manuscripts, right? But then there are testimonies of his wife saying that she actually saw her husband writing,
Every day.
but he was not copying from anywhere. So, long story short, in the traditional rabbinic world, they will say that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai wrote the Zohar. Most liberal scholars will say no. it was Moses de Leon in Spain who wrote it, and it's a brilliant book, right? And we kind of understand why he'd have to trick everybody, because otherwise nobody will read it. In this day and age, to say, hey, it was Moses de Leon, after the book is already written and so popular, should be good for him. The rabbinic rabbis, they refuse to do that. Orthodox rabbis, sorry. They refuse to do that, and they give the full credit to Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, who died on Lag BaOmer, who said to his students, I want you to celebrate in my yahrzeit. Okay? He was a mystic, anyway, to begin with. He did teach Kabbalah, Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, but we don't know to the point to write in the Zohar. So he said, after I died, I want you to celebrate on my yahrzeit. He died in Lag BaOmer, and that's why if you go to Israel right now, you can go to visit his grave on Mount Meron, and you have these hundreds of thousands of Orthodox going to his grave every Lag BaOmer, and they dance and they jump to the point that it's not uncommon that many people die because of, they
The narrow entrance and the frenzy, and
Google it.
falls and somebody falls.
Google
on
it.
top of it.
Don't believe me, Google it.
Yeah.
Go to Google and Google the Lag BaOmer accidents. Okay? Some of them, they were tragic. One was during COVID, because God forbid the government will tell them, no, you cannot get together because there is a pandemic. They defied the order. They went to Meron, they did
it
it,
was huge.
and then the platform
It
collapsed,
was a huge,
and 100 died.
yeah, it was huge, yeah.
Yeah, anyway. Okay.
I always thought that was the Gion.
Oh, I have to stop. So we can talk. We can keep talking after. I will stop the thing. Sorry, we are 2 minutes over time. If you missed anything, I can see here Maggie said you missed part of this. Please, you can replay tonight, 8 p.m. Central Time. It's going to be rebroadcasted, or you can still find it after this class is over on our YouTube channel. Anyway, depends what method you prefer. Okay, so have a wonderful rest of your day, everyone. I hope you will start counting the Omer, even if it's without a blessing. And as I said at the beginning, best way to do it, join a minyan. You can count with Leon or Jerome every night. Okay, thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your day.